Good day, learners. For the purpose of introduction, I am Professor Bello Ayuba, your course facilitator. For the purpose of giving my brief profile, I want to start by once again introducing myself as Bello Ayuba, former PhD coordinator in the Department of Business Admin, former Deputy Dean Postgraduate School of the University of Abuja, former Head of Business Administration Department, former Director, University of Abuja Ventures Limited, and currently Director, Center for Distance Learning and Continuing Education, University of Abuja. I am here with you today to facilitate on BOS 213. BOS 213, which is Principles of Marketing 1. It has 2 credit units. I want to give you brief analysis into what to expect, brief insight into what to expect for the semester, so that you can be able to understand the course clearly. Starting with general overview of the course. As you can see on the slide, the course Principles of Marketing provide the framework for analyzing marketing concepts and principles. It focuses on major decisions marketing managers face in their effort to harmonize organizations' objectives, capabilities, as well as resources with marketplace needs and opportunities. It was designed to teach learners the basic skills required to succeed in today's competitive marketing environment, so as to provide you with the foundations of marketing, whether you intend to work in the field of marketing or not, as marketing is part of our daily lives. So, as part of the course outline for the day, you needed to know those areas that you're to be taken into. As you can see, our first study session is going to be on framework of marketing. And it is expected that under the framework of marketing, we understand the various definitions of marketing, we understand how marketing came into being, that is evolution of marketing, as well as basic concept of marketing and marketing functions. By the time we finish with the first study session, we should be expected to move into the second study session, which is going to be on marketing mix. When we say marketing mix, we simply mean those marketing mix elements, which the marketing manager will put together to satisfy the target market, which are being simplified into what we call the 4 phases of marketing. That is product, price, place, and promotion. So as part of the study session 2, we should be able to dwell on this area. And again, as part of the course outline, you'll be taken into another topics within study session 3. As you can see, we'll be expected to understand marketing management philosophies, to understand the meaning, the marketing management concept and tools, as well as managerial philosophies which guide marketers' efforts. And finally, we equally make effort to understand the differences between selling and marketing under the marketing management philosophies. By the time we conclude with our study session 3, we move on to our study session 4 to understand product life cycle strategies. Product life cycle is very important in marketing. Why? Because it tends to remind marketers that one day a growing product will decline. So as a marketer, you needed a lot of marketing effort so that you can devise several strategies with in a bit to remain at your peak. This is the more reason why as students, you should be able to learn those life cycle strategies so that you know the right strategy to adopt at virtually every stage of the life cycle of a product. So in doing this, we should make an effort to understand the meaning of product life cycle. We understand stages of the product life cycle, that is the introductory stage, the growth stage, the maturity stage, as well as the decline stages. Then, as part of our study session 5, we should be able to understand marketing environment. Why? Because we have been made to understand that marketing does not exist in a vacuum. It exists in a legal frame, and that legal frame is what we refer to as the marketing environment. And the marketing environment composed of two components, the internal as well as the external component. So as part of the facilitation, we should be able to understand these two components of the marketing environment. This is the more reason why you see that it is important we understand the environment because of its dynamic nature. Why? Because the marketing environment is diverse and dynamic. It is associated with some forces, the kind of forces that can impinge on your mode of operations. So, as part of the discourse, as part of the lecture for the session, we should be able to understand the various meanings of marketing environment. We understand the macro environment as well as the micro environmental variables. And again, analysis of this entire environmental variables. Then, another cause for discussion within the course outline for the semester is marketing and society. Why? Because there is the need to understand the relationship that do exist between marketing and society. Why? Because there is that interwoven relationship between marketing as well as members of the society. Why? Because marketing makes demand on the society as well as the society makes demand on marketing. What I want to say here in essence, marketers needed members of the society for survival. So also members of the society, they needed marketers for survival. So if you have to look at the relationship, it is interwoven. This is the more reason why we should make effort to understand this nature of relationship. That's why as part of the topic for discussion, you can see we have to look at into the various relationships between marketing and society, as well as contribution of marketing to the society, societal problems of marketing, and marketing responses to such societal criticisms. We equally make an effort to understand consumerism, marketing ethics, as well as social responsibility. We are to equally discuss consumer behavior as part of the course. Why? Because if you can see based on what we have highlighted earlier on, we want to understand the framework of marketing. We want to understand marketing mix. We want to understand marketing management philosophies. We want to understand marketing environment. Now, we are not only understanding marketing environment, even marketing and society. Then with understanding of marketing and society, we equally want to understand consumer behavior. Those actions of individuals directly involved in obtaining and using economic goods and services. Why are we interested in studying the behavior of consumers? Why? Because behavior of consumer is of paramount importance to marketers. If you can predict the consumer accordingly, you are likely going to provide the needed satisfaction more effectively and efficiently. And if you can deliver the needed satisfaction more effectively and efficiently, you are likely going to gain competitive advantage over other marketers of similar product. So due to this reason, due to the fact that as marketers, we must seem to be providing the needed satisfaction more effectively and efficiently, and due to the dynamic nature of consumers, there is the need for us to keep on studying them. Why? Because the more we study them, the more we are likely going to predict them accordingly. And if we can predict them accordingly, we are likely going to deliver the satisfaction more effectively and efficiently. This is the more reason why we are going to look into this topic so that we can be able to understand the definition of consumer behavior. We will understand those factors influencing consumers' purchasing behaviors, as well as consumer buying decision process, the various types of consumer buying behaviors, as well as the buying roles. So, the lecture will not only stop at consumer behavior, but we equally make an effort to understand organizational buying behavior, which is going to be our last topic for the semester. We are to understand organizational buying behavior as our study session 8. And in trying to study organizational buyer behavior, we are to understand the various meaning of organizational buying. We understand characteristics of organizational buyer as well as organizational buying processes. So, as you can see, we have a lot to cover for the semester, and I want to enjoy all of you to buckle up so that you can be able to meet up with the challenges for you to pass with better grade. So by the time you've been taken through the course, it is expected that you should be able to learn marketing with the following as the outcomes for this lecture series. So as I was saying, after studying this course, you should be able to understand the various definitions of marketing. And if you understand the various definitions of marketing, it is expected that you know what marketing is all about. Why? Because in trying to define marketing, we correct some misconceptions on the part of some people. Whenever you ask them to define marketing, they always end up by saying that marketing is merely buying and selling. Well, for the purpose of this class, marketing is more than buying and selling. It involves a whole lot of activities performed by organizations to direct the flow of goods and services from the producer to consumer or user. So in the course of our lectures, we should be able to understand what marketing is all about. This is the more reason why we said, as part of the learning outcome, by the time you're taking through this study session, you should be able to understand the various definitions of marketing. You should as well be able to identify and explain the basic concept of marketing. And again, you should be able to determine the marketing functions which marketing managers are to be saddled with from time to time. Why? Because the moment you call yourself a marketer, there are some certain responsibilities that you have to be carrying out from time to time. It is only when you carry out these activities more effectively and efficiently that you can succeed as a marketer, that you can gain competitive advantage as a marketer. So you need to know this line of activities. And after taking you through this course, you should be able to understand all these chains of activities involved. And again, the study session will the entire course will also help you to understand the combination of the four inputs that constituted the core of a company marketing system. What we mean by combination of the core inputs, we mean the four elements of the marketing mix: the controllable element, the product aspect, the pricing dimension, the distribution, which is the place, as well as the promotional aspect of the product. This is what constitutes the company's four inputs, which constituted the entire marketing system. You need to understand them with regard to strategy planning. This is the more reason why you have to be taught marketing mix, the controllable element, what the marketing manager can put together to satisfy the target market. They are being simplified into what we call the 4 P's of marketing. That is product, price, place, and promotion. So we understand the combination of this input in the course of our lectures. So another learning outcomes for the purpose of these facilitations, learners will be taken into the implication of the marketing mix element to the overall success of an organization. Why? Because how you strategize with the various elements of the marketing mix determines your success or failure in marketing. And again, it will be expected that students will understand those components of the marketing environment, including its complexities. Why? Because, as I've said earlier on, the marketing environment is diverse and dynamic. It is associated with some forces. It is associated with some opportunities as well as threats. So by the time you have been taken through into this course, you should be able to understand those likely opportunities and how best you can be able to exploit on them as marketers. Then again, you are to learn how best to adopt to external changes, those external environmental changes brought about by the forces associated with the environment, such as the economic environment, the economic force, the social force, the competitive force, as well as other changes in consumer preferences. So this is what you should expect in being taken into this lecture series. And as you want to read further, you have been provided with some recommended study textbooks as well as external resources, which will go a long way in equipping you to adequately prepare yourself for the task ahead, so that you can prepare very well for your forthcoming examination. As you can see, we have a CDL and CE study material which is available on the University of Abuja LMS, Learning Management System. If you visit our portal, as student, if you have paid your school fees, you have been screened, you have been issued with your matriculation number, you can use your name as a student as well as your matriculation number as your password to log in into our learning management system for you to access our e-learning resources, particularly our study materials. So I'm recommending this for you. And as you can see, as part of the recommended study textbooks, I have a renowned marketing consultant, Philip Kotler, 2006, which is the title of his book, Principle of Marketing, Prentice Hall, New York. These are the publishers. So if you can lay your hand on any of the Kotler's book, Kotler is a renowned marketing consultant, the best marketing author the world over. If you can lay your hand on this material or any of his materials among others as made available in the market or online, is going to add a lot of academic value to what you're doing. Another reference material is that of David Jober, 1999, Marketing, McGraw-Hill, London. Is equally going to be helpful. And again, my unpublished book, 2008, Marketing, Principles and Management, Chikura Printers, Kaduna. Then finally, if you can visit UNI Abuja CDL and CE Library, BI University Portal, BI University Library, you are equally going to get a lot of e-learning resources that can go a long way in improving on your knowledge in the area of marketing as well as business management generally. So, beside a brief introduction about the course, I equally want to give you general information with particular focus on method of assessment. As students, you'll be assessed at different intervals, and you'll be assessed using different methodologies. So it is good for you at the beginning of this lecture series for you to understand how you're to be assessed. What particular method are we going to adopt in trying to assess you as students of business admin, specifically as BOS 213 students? So as you can see, as part of the assessment measures, there is going to be 2 homework assignments and a term paper throughout the course, in addition to a midterm test, as well as final examination. For any exam, there must be provision for continuous assessment. So we want you to understand that your continuous assessment, there is going to be homework. And this homework is going to be given twice. You will be given twice homework assignment. And again, you may be subjected to some writing of some term papers throughout the course. And again, you are to conduct midterm tests. After the midterm tests, you conduct final examination for the semester. But in between, that is in between the homework assignment as well as the facilitation going on, the midterm test, there may be tutorial in between. And the essence of the tutorial is to afford you the opportunity to meet with your lecturers face to face, so that they can be able to make clarifications on those areas that you studied online, which you couldn't be able to understand, and you're requiring further clarification. So this is being arranged by the center management so that you can meet with your lecturers face to face rather than online, so that they can be able to make some clarifications where necessary. So the term paper will be given at the beginning of the class, and submission will be on the due date, while homework will be in the form of individual assignment and group assignment and are meant to be a study material for the midterm test and the final exam. So for emphasis, I want you to understand this. No late homework will be accepted. If you're submitting your homework assignment very late, certainly it's going to be rejected. So you must ensure on-time delivery, on-time submission of your assignment. The moment the due date has been fixed, make sure you write and submit within the due date. Otherwise, you get yourself penalized. Students are expected to turn in what they have at the time it is due, which is at the start of the class. So I think this is what I've explained earlier on. And again, attendance is compulsory. Attendance is compulsory. 70% attendance is the condition upon which a student will be allowed to write the final exam. So you don't assume because you have paid your school fees, you have been registered, issued with all necessary documents, you assume that it is guaranteed that you go into the classroom straight and begin to write your exam. You can only be allowed to write the exam by the time you are able to satisfy the 70% attendance as required. So based on this, you can see 70%. It's not even saying to the reverse 30%, 70%. So punctuality is very, very important. You are expected to be punctual throughout. It is when you're punctual that you can qualify to sit for our examination. Otherwise, you may be denied. So, grading system. How are you going to be graded? Students should be able to know that yes, performance in this course will be through the following assessment model as specified in this diagram. This is the grading style. Activity. Whatever the activity that we are to come up with, as I discussed earlier on, whether midterm paper, we assign some marks to it and give it some certain percentage. This percentage is going to be allocated to you, is going to be passed on to you in this due course. But for the purpose of this guide, as you can see, attendance is going to attract 5% for now. First tutor mark assignment. You can see what constituted first tutor mark assignment. Group chat, discussions, forums. If you're participating, I will have concrete evidence that you have been participating in this exercise in our group chat for the course. Discussions on issues related to Principles of Marketing 1, verse 213. And again, you belong to the forum again for important academic discussion related to Principles of Marketing 1. At the end of the semester, by the time you're going to be scored, you scored 10%. So the 10% is there for you to cut away, depending on your participation in these activities. Then the second tutor mark assignment, you're going to be subjected to assignment as well as computer-based test. By the time you meet up this, you wrote the assignment and you succeeded in writing the CVT, you cut away the 15 mark. Then again, final examination. So as you can see, based on this breakdown we have, examination is going to be conducted based on 70%, while the continuous assessment is going to constitute 30%, making it 100% in all. So this is the more reason why we want students to be more determined to always partake in the academic activities going on within the classroom. Why? Because if you cannot have anything as your continuous assessment, you're bound to fail. And if you don't attend, you're as well going to fail, no matter how intelligent you may be. So all that we want to see, you may be that intelligent, when you don't participate in the activity of the class, certainly you're going to fail. Then again, our rules for participation in this our virtual learning. If you want to participate, you are expected to be ensuring strict compliance with some ground rules. So for emphasis, this is part of our ground rules. Number one, learners who are absent from class will lose the marks for attendance. You can hear what I've said earlier. between you're part of the class, you have paid for your school fees, you have done this, you have done that. But yet, at the end of the day, you don't even attend the lecture. You don't participate in the chat, you don't participate in the discussion, you don't participate in the forum. Certainly, you end up scoring 0. And when you are scoring 0 from your continuous assessment, this should be the beginning of your problem, and this is what we don't want to pray for. Again, students who submit their assignment later than due date will lose total marks obtainable. I think I've explained this earlier. The moment it is said that X assignment is to be submitted on X date, you try as much as possible to beat the deadline. You make your submission within the due date. Otherwise, you have some problem. Then students who are unruly during chat discussion and other class interactions will lose 1 mark of the total marks obtainable. This is what the rule said, that you may lose 1 mark for being unruly, but it can even attract more than that. The penalty may be more than even reduction of, because when we said unruly, we don't expect to be seeing unruly students coming on board. In university, we don't award degrees based on learning. We award degrees based on character and learning. It is the character we mold people of good behaviors. When you're being unruly, certainly you're not going to be a role model. You're here. We want to teach you, we want to guide you, so that you become useful to yourself as well as to the society, because we want you to become future leaders. So for being unruly, it's a serious offense that if you are not careful, it may result to your expulsion from the university. So in the course of our chat discussion as well as other forms of class interaction, you decide to be unruly or coming up with some irrelevant questions, because the students are known for that. There is facilitation going on bus 213, principles of marketing. Somebody will come and start discussing something, irrelevant topic. So we want you to pay attention, students. Make sure you remain well focused. You ensure good conduct throughout the period of the exercise. And again, you should know that all assignments for this course will be submitted electronically through the email provided in the facilitator's profile, unless otherwise. So I don't know to some of you whether you have seen my contact, my Gmail address as well as my contact one. Even if you didn't see it, I'm going to make it available. It's going to be circulated to all the class, to all the students, so that anytime you want to get in touch, you know how to connect. We are going to make the information readily available. And again, as part of the ground rules, assignment must be submitted by the given deadline, or the special permission must be requested from instructor before the due date. If for one reason or the other, you cannot be able to submit your assignment based on the due date, there is the need for you to bring it to the attention of the instructor. Bring it to the attention of the facilitator. If for one reason or the other you cannot meet up, and that reason is a cogent one, try to meet your instructor. Make him understand and do it earlier, not until when you have missed out. Then for you to come at a later date to come and start complaining. Certainly, I'm not going to listen to you. So we have channels of communication. You have been guided into the various channels of communication, how students can communicate with management, how students can communicate with his facilitators. So try to exploit on those channels of communication for you to convey the message. And again,